to Gold and Black Live. Friend of the show, friend of the family. Kelly Kitchel joins us, and Kelly needs no introduction to people in the West Lafayette community at large. Of course, Kelly is a Purdue football alum, 1998-2002, offensive lineman for Coach Joe Tiller, and a variety of assistant coaches, which all the Jim Cheneys of the world on down the line that you had fun working with, and others, and Danny Hope. And obviously, too, in his 15th season on the Purdue Radio Network as a sideline reporter, and does some occasionally will do some color as well. Kelly, welcome to the show, and a really big weekend for tomorrow. Purdue taking on USC. It's a big moment in Ross-Ade Stadium.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. I appreciate you having me on. And this is a big weekend. A lot going on, a lot of guys coming back, and it's a little bit of a, we'll kind of figure out who we are as a team this year in the 2025 Barry Odom era. You started the year out with a couple of teams that you should beat, and they did, and they took care of business. It was a little rocky start with Southern Illinois, but once they kind of got some things figured out, it was really, everything was pretty smooth after that. But this is the first real test for sure for this team. And, you got a really good team coming in USC, and with a really good coach and really good players. So it's going to be really interesting, I guess, to see where this team stacks up. I think, it's one of those things that I really think coaching wise, I think that we'll be prepared. I think you'll see some guys that know where they're supposed to be and do what they're supposed to do, but we'll see, talent wise, athletically, how we stack up to some of the meat of the Big Ten here.
Well, and USC, just the opportunity to play. I think your first game, your redshirt freshman year, you were out in Southern Cal. No, did you travel that one?
I did.
In the heat.
That was 98. That was that was
Drew's first game and 99 degrees at kickoff.
It was, and the seniors that year had voted to wear the tallest, thickest socks that you could possibly have. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea, because we usually wore short socks, but they decided they wanted to wear these tall, thick socks, and that just added to the heat. And it was just scorcher out there. I remember, I think it was Roosevelt Colvin's grandma, passed out in the stands. Yeah. We'd heard, afterwards, there were people there were guys cramping all over the place. And we had, leading up to that game, since it was the Pigskin Classic, it was a week before everybody else. And I remember we had 18 straight days of two-a-days.
Yeah.
And that was, that was just a grinder all the way through camp. And I remember we were about probably day 12 or so, and we were getting ready for our second practice, and Coach Tiller came in and he let us know that he was going to cancel the second practice. And I'll tell you, man, everybody started going crazy. And there's a guy did a backflip, and they were high-fiving and everything. And he looked at us. He said, "Well, if I knew you had that much energy, we'd have just practiced, Yeah. And everybody's like, no, it's okay. We need a day off, or just an afternoon off, I guess. So that was an absolute grinder all the way through, and trying to get ready for that Pigskin Classic. And it was a heck of a game, but we didn't come out there at the win, but that was a great venue to play, just driving there, or, you drive, I feel like the bus drove through Compton to get right there to the stadium. I mean, it was just
not in the world's greatest neighborhood in the first place.
But it was interesting. There was a lot of things, you see some places that we've never seen before. We played at a place that we'd never seen before. And it was fun just to have that opportunity to go out to Southern Cal and play.
Week 0 opportunity for Purdue. It's only one, I guess, technically it's had, and that was a big deal. 99 degrees at 10:30 a.m. local time. That game was a 1:30 Eastern kickoff.
Yeah,
hard to imagine, or it may have been an 11:30. Now I think about it, but it's still just unbelievably warm. Drew Brees' debut. Purdue had a lead at the half. They returned a kick for a touchdown that kind of turned the game around a little bit, they being USC, and went on to the win. I know you got one thing. I think the stories of a lot of you guys of your class, and of course back in West Lafayette tomorrow and tonight for a reunion of sort of the 25-year anniversary of the Rose Bowl team. But a lot of guys talked about, and you were just a redshirt freshman, but on the trip, but the fact that Joe Tiller took you to the Rose Bowl.
Yes.
And you guys went, I think, to Universal Studios, even after losing. And I had several guys tell me that was kind of a different side of the coach, and also beginning with the end in mind. He talked about the trip to Pasadena and what that meant, that was the goal of the program to get there. And that, of course, is what happened in your third year at Purdue.
Yeah, he made no bones about what the plan was, right? That when he came into Purdue, the goal was to win a Big Ten championship, play in the Rose Bowl. I mean, that was our goal. I remember when I came my first year, because I was a gray shirt, so I came in '97. I gray shirted that first semester, and then I went on scholarship in January, and then my clock started that next year. But I remember in '97, in the weight room, there was always a board that said beat whoever, and like all summer. Or when I got there, it said beat Indiana, and I remember I guess it was on my visit. It said beat Indiana, and that was after we played IU, and I guess they had that up all year, and that was their goal, was to beat IU and win the bucket. And when Coach Tiller came in, it was win a Big Ten championship. He changed it from beat IU to win a Big Ten championship, and that was we wanted to change our mindset completely. That we weren't in this thing just to win the state, or to beat IU in this thing. That didn't matter. That was going to be a given. It was to play for championships, and that was our mindset going through. And yeah, him taking us to the Rose Bowl and made it real, right? I mean, you're out here in LA. We're going to take you to Pasadena. This is our end goal right here in Pasadena, to get here. And to win the Rose Bowl. Unfortunately, we didn't get it done in the game, but it was, that's what he wanted to instill into our minds, that this is a real deal. It's not something that's a pipe dream. It's not something that can't happen. This is a real situation that we're building towards right now. And that was who Joe Tiller was. He had a vision in mind. He knew that he could win here. He knew that, he had a great staff. He had a great system. He's a great leader, and he was going to get us to where we wanted to go. And so, fortunately, we had also Drew Brees and Tim Stratton and Vinny Sutherland. And I mean, I think on that Rose Bowl year, we had, like, of our 22 starters on offense and defense, I feel like 19 of them played, pretty good careers in the NFL. So, I mean, we had NFL talent as well. And so it was, that helped out quite a bit, because every coach will tell you they're a lot better coach when you have great players. And so we had great players, and he did a great job of recruiting. And so that was, him making that real to us, and helping us to believe this is what we were doing. We're not just coming to Purdue to beat IU. That like I said, that's a given. We're going to take care of business there. We're coming here to win a championship.
Yeah, Kelly Kitchel, the product of Lewis Cass High School, not too far from Lafayette, and you had on that 2000 team, and we're going to talk about that and the current Purdue line that you're watching from the sidelines. But that 2000 team, you were a redshirt sophomore and working your way into the lineup at that point. But you talk about Matt Light and Brandon Gorn and Gene Murskowski on down the line. This was a very, very good, Matt Light obviously played so many years in the NFL, but so did Brandon Gorn. And this is
all of them. I think all of them have Super Bowl rings.
You
talk Ian Allen, Brandon Gorn, Matt Light, Chucky Okobe, all five of those guys that started. And I will say, I was right on there as like the 6th, 7th man to come in, and those guys never missed any. They didn't ever get hurt.
But that got you on special teams still.
Yeah, I got on special teams. I was on the PAT field goal team, and I was always ready to go, man. I always kept my helmet on, ready to go. But it was, but those, like I said, those guys, and that is a key too when you make a run for the championship, is you stay healthy, and we were able to stay healthy that year as well. Yeah, that's a big deal. And so they, those were special guys, and they were guys that you compete with in practice. Next to they show you how to work. I remember my first dinner I came into at Purdue. We went to training table. We ate right underneath the carry there, and I didn't know anybody. I was, like I said, I was a gray shirt, so I came. I couldn't come during camp, so I came right after camp. But I could still eat with the team once school started. And so I went. I didn't know hardly anybody. I was living with Brady Doe. He was my roommate, so I knew Brady and knew a couple. Chris Clapton was right across the hall. Tim Upshur was right across the hall. So I knew a couple guys that I'd met just a couple days before, because they just got out of camp and I was just moving in. And so I went down. I sat with the O-line, and I sat right next to Matt Light. And Matt said, he goes, "What position do you play?" And I said, "Left tackle." I was kind of puffing my chest a little bit. I said, "Left tackle." And he said, "Not while I'm here."
Yeah.
And I didn't.
And he
And
was right. He was
he
right.
was right. He was right. And Matt and I became great friends. But that was a guy that I competed every sprint. I lined up myself right next to Matt Light. In the weight room, I was getting next to Matt Light. I mean, I wanted to be, I wanted to push myself to be a guy like him that, and work as hard as or harder than he is, and try to prove myself a little bit. And so he's like I said, we became great friends, that we still are. And it's just, it was a special group. Chucky Kobe's a great friend. He was traveling from Pennsylvania, going out to Kansas City last winter, late fall, and he got an Airbnb somewhere, and he called us up. And so Lamar Kennard and I went out there, and we hung out with Chucky. And it's just like, you don't miss a beat, right? We sat by a fire, and we had a lot of laughs and a lot of talks, a few drinks, and just really enjoyed each other. And I'm so looking forward to seeing all the guys. I think there's over 60 guys coming back, which is great. I can't express how pumped I am. There's people that are staying in my house. They're on, one of them's on a plane right now coming here. Is going to be here tonight. And I'm just super pumped, because we talk a lot, we text a lot, but we don't get to see each other a lot. Brady's coming here. He lives in Tucson, Arizona. Super excited to see him. I see Ben Smith a lot, but Jason Lorzell's coming from New Orleans. Scotty Kurz is coming from Charlotte. It's just, guys are coming from all over to be part of this, and we're all excited to see each other and be together, and just, like I said, share stories and talk about our families, and just have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that number 15 will be there too. He may be jetting in and jetting out, but that's a big deal, and I know it means a lot to him to be part of the group. He was one of the boys as well, and that is a great thing. So you guys are going to have a lot of fun, and both Friday and Saturday night, and it'd be fun if Purdue would put on a big surprise on Saturday. We shall see. But I want to transition your radio gig on, again, your 15th year on the sidelines. You get to see it firsthand. You watch a line play. You coach it at West Side as well, and that's you live and breathe this stuff. What have you seen in the first 2 weeks? Obviously, Coach Barry Odom's had to assemble new guys everywhere he looks, including the offensive line. What have you seen out of the group from week 1 to week 2, and maybe what you'll have to see come Saturday at 3:30 against USC for Purdue to be successful?
Well, for one thing, I've seen their confidence grow, which is good. I see guys trying to finish. I see guys straining up front, trying to finish in the run game, trying to protect in the pass game, really straining up front. And I think Vance Weiss has done a good job of getting those guys in the right mindset. I saw when they broke the huddle, we had, I think, 1st and goal in the south end zone last week, and I saw Braden Joyner come out just fired up. I mean, he's trying to get the crowd into us, and we're on the one, we're going to run the ball, and we're going to score here. And I see a level of confidence coming out of those guys. I think up front we've got an NFL pro for sure. Probably a draft. I'm sure he's going to be a draft pick in Joey Tonona. I think at left tackle, I think he's a terrific player. We're very fortunate to have him. He's a transfer from Notre Dame. He had some health issues earlier on and kind of medically retired, and then he came back and now he's playing for us, which is a big deal. And then, I think there's a lot of other positions where I think Braden Joyner, he's doing a good job at center. Ethan Trent, talk about a guy that has just made his mark here at Purdue and really earned a spot as a starter here. And he's not just a fringe guy. I mean, he's one of the leaders up front on that offensive line. You can tell when he's in there and when he's not. And so he's done a great job. You got Bakeen Coley at right tackle, who's a super athlete, but he's still learning the game a little bit. But he's an athletic, big guy, and he's learning to be a little more physical. So I think if we can figure out how to just play together, and that was one of the big things that I learned is, with our guys, the communication and figuring out how to play together was so key, because there were some times, when I played next to Kelly Butler, And, there were a lot of times where we could communicate without even talking, right? It was one of those where he would see somebody walking up outside and I'd tap the center and we knew we were sliding. Even if he didn't say anything, I could make sure we communicated because we were all on the same page. And so that there was, it's a big deal. Once you get a 5 or 6 or 7 guys that are really there in the rotation that are on the same page and doing the same thing, special things can happen. And they're going to have for this team to be successful, that group has to be on point up front because we're going to run the football. I mean, you've seen Barry Odom's offense. We're going to run the football. We're going to take some shots, right? It's not like we were where we're trying to, just spread the ball out everywhere and get it out into athletes in space. This is a lineup, get 2, 3, 4 tight ends in there sometimes, and we're going to run the football, and we'll see how we do in the Big Ten when we start facing some better defensive fronts than we've seen the first 2 weeks. And I'm excited to see those guys take on the challenge, because and what I do have a lot of confidence in with this team is I think the coaching staff is terrific. I think Josh Henson is a really good offensive mind. You've got Henshaw with him, who's also had a lot of coordinator experience. You've got 2 coordinators on offense that have called offenses in major college football, which last year at the end we didn't have anybody on the staff that called an offense in major college football. So this is I think you've got a really, really good staff. And like I said, Lamar Kennard is coaching our running backs. And, if there's a guy that can get a guy to break a tackle and get extra yards, it's him. And you see that with Devin Mockabee, you see it with Tony O'Harris, you see it with all of our running backs. I mean, another running back, Jaheim Merriweather, wants to just go down and crush somebody on special teams to the point where he did it so much in the first week that the second week they didn't even try to block him. I was so excited. I was like, man, I want to see this guy go out there and just crush somebody on special teams, and they didn't even block him. And I think they were making Southern Illinois they were making business decisions on the kickoff return because of what Jaheim did for that first week. So I think that these guys are going to come out ready to play, fired up. They're going to be well prepared. Like I said, I just hope that we can execute the plan. And if there's anybody that knows Lincoln Riley and what he's trying to do offensively, it's Josh Henson. He's been with him, right? He knows his mind. He knows what he's trying to do. And that's going to be an interesting, to see if we can kind of get in his mind a little bit and dial up some blitzes, dial up some things on defense. I'm sure that Mike Shear and Josh Henson have talked a lot this week to talk about what Lincoln does and calling the offense. So I don't know. I'm fired up, man. I really am. I'm excited for this team. I'm excited. There's a lot of great kids on this team. I look at them a little differently than some fans do. I think a lot of fans, and especially if you're not a fan, you just see them as a person on the team, or you see them as a stat line or something like that. I see these kids as they're college kids that they are, trying to balance their athletics, their academics, their personal lives, everything that's going on. And in today's day and age, the stuff off the field sometimes can affect things on the field a lot. And so, and not just in today's day and age, it always has, but you kind of see it a little more today. But I think that, like I said, this team is an interesting team. I think that we've got a quarterback that's got all kinds of confidence. And so I'm just, like I said, I'm excited to see how we play against a really quality team.
Yeah. USC certainly is going to bring, it's much ballyhooed talent on the offensive end, but they've got athletes on the defensive end. And that may be arguably a little bit of a weak spot or a thing that Purdue can get after, but they still have athletes all over the place. They can run and get to the football. You watch them on film, and that's what you see. I think one thing as we get to a close here, Devin Mockabee has set the tone, and this as a student athlete, how important your academics were, and being a Purdue grad, and now still and working at Purdue as well. But he set the tone with his message. I think and not every. I understand the world today is transfer portal and opportunities for guys to play. I get it. Devin Mockabee chose to stay at Purdue, get his degree. And he's hitting people hard this year. I think it's noticeably different. I mean, he hasn't peeled off a big run yet, but every time he's waylaying punishment, and that's leadership. I mean, I think that's the one thing that he just seems to bring to the table. And today, and you're a leadership guy, it's tough when you've got all these new bodies and who's going to be the alpha male out there on the football field. But it appears to me, and you can watch the body language that Devin's got he's not a real, he's a soft-spoken guy, but a guy that is at least leading by example.
He 100% he's leading by example. And I'll say, kind of going back to your first point there, when I interviewed him on the field right after the first game, after our first win, and the first thing I said is thank you for coming back. Right. Yeah. I mean, because there's a lot of guys that left. And so, and he had plenty of opportunities to leave, but he's a Boilermaker. He is one of us. He's an absolute guy that you can count on. And you're right. Even if he gets hit in the hole, those guys on defense are feeling it. He is going to deliver a blow, and he's going to get the extra yards. And I mean, there was a run last week where you thought he had a 3-yard gain. He ended up sidestepping a guy, ended up turning into a 15-yard gain. And that's just that gets everybody on the offense excited, gets everybody on the defense excited, everybody on the sidelines. I mean, you see that, and he is, I don't know how vocal he is, because he is a pretty soft-spoken guy, but he is leading with his effort and his energy and what he brings to the field every single snap. And I couldn't be more proud of Devin. And I think that he's a guy that has just earned everything that has come his way. I think he'll probably be an all Big Ten guy this year. He's going to have an opportunity in the NFL, and he's just a guy that is just a super example of, work hard, do the right thing, play as hard as you possibly can, prepare for the game, and good things will happen. And that's where he's at. And I will say, the guy behind him, Antonio Harris, he's cut right out of the same mold. I think we've, Purdue fans should know that name here pretty soon, if you don't already, because he's a guy from the same area of the state that's got the same type of work ethic. And he came in with my boys as walk-on last year, and he's earned his spot and getting a bunch of time. And so there's guys on the team that other guys gravitate towards, and Devin's that guy on this team. You're right. There's alphas, right? I mean, Matt Light was an alpha. Drew Brees is an alpha. Tim Stratton's an alpha. I mean, those guys you kind of just you just gravitate, because they for one, most of the time they do the right things off the field. I wouldn't say that we always did the right things off the field, but we stayed out of trouble.
You guys you mentioned maybe not as much.
Yeah, we stayed out of trouble for the most part. But one thing we did do is take care of each other off the field. And so there was usually, if somebody got in a tight spot, there was a couple guys around to help out. So but that's another big thing is just keeping the team together on and off the field, and making sure that you gel as a team, gel as a group. And then you want this opportunity, like, I'm so fortunate to be part of this team that come back in 25, which I can't believe it's 25 years, Alan. I mean, it can't be 25 years. But you come back as a team 25 years, and it's like you haven't missed a beat, and you get excited to see each other. And, about everywhere we go in the country, we can find somebody close if we want to go visit and go see. And it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it is going to be a special weekend. They'll stay out of trouble, I think. I think there's a pretty good chance that'll happen. They are 25 years older after all. But that doesn't guarantee everybody. There's a couple up there I might be worried, but I will not mention any names, and you are not one of them. So I'm trusting you.
We'll try to stay out of the bars too much. I'm having a bunch of guys out at my house on Friday night. I'm still coaching high school football, so after the game, they'll all come out and we'll hang out and have a fire and just enjoy spending time together. And you may see some of us at the bars at some point. You never know, but we'll try to keep it under. We'll try to keep it under wraps, and like I said, we'll have a good time for sure.
I'm sure you will. And congratulations. Like I said, being a part of that is a big deal. Your work with the Purdue radio network is always fun to listen to. We look forward to that as well. Work at West Side, you're getting the Red Devils turned around and doing what you can there is a lot of fun. And you have a great family too. So you and your lovely wife, Brooke, always have a lot on your plate, but you always seem to be having a good time, and that's a good thing. So thanks, Kelly, so much for your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you, as we say, at the ballpark on Saturday, and when the Boilermakers take on USC. It'll be a lot of fun with that. So stay tuned. We'll be back for segment 3. Ken Halpin will join us, Purdue's Deputy Athletic Director, somebody that Kelly and I have come to know and appreciate, and we'll look forward to hearing from Ken here in the next segment. So we'll be back in 2 minutes on Gold and Black Live.